Hi, my name is Bob Wenzlau. I'm president of Palo Alto's Neighbors Abroad. We're the sister city program that operates with the city of Palo Alto to maintain relations across 9 sister cities and one new sibling city, which is Bloomington in the United States. This is an overview that I prepared for a visit by the city of Enschede and wanted them to appreciate the work we've been doing as a city in climate change, but more importantly, the work we've done in offsets, or as I've more recently started to look towards it as drawdown. On this image, we're looking at Oaxaca, Mexico, and this is an area where we have one of our largest carbon capture projects, and I'll today be introducing Oaxaca, talking about the sequestration work, and offering an overview of the program. What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the role and the relevance of offsets and drawdown, so we can take a look at work that we've been doing broadly as a city, where we have a policy statement, this green line, that seeks to be reduce 80% of our greenhouse gases by 2030. And we've been observing, or I've been observing, that we may not get there. We have challenges in our electric grid, and it's probably going to take longer to get to our 80% reduction by 2030. So as such, I represent perhaps we'll hit 50% by 2030, but not 80%. And therein lies the opportunity, this blue area, for offsets. So offsets are a effort or a purchase arrangement where a third party captures carbon consistent with a protocol and is able to sell tons of carbon that would basically fill the gap. So this is the role of offsets, and I wanted to introduce the unique program that the city of Palo Alto has been doing through their natural gas utility. Another way I look at offsets is by introducing the concept called drawdown. And one view of Palo Alto's role is that we should be hitting our 80% reduction by 2030, and we could call that job well done. But we know that the climate challenge is much, much greater than just an 80% reduction. And therein lies the opportunity to actually scheme and imagine approach where the drawdown or the carbon reduction passes through zero, so we become a net zero community, and draws down, goes negative. So we basically extract carbon from the atmosphere greater than we produce. And as such, we produce way overproduced carbon over the past, so it's not like we're coming ahead on this. And this is probably one of the more broader views of what carbon can be. But let's turn to San Juan La Chao. And San Juan La Chao is where Palo Alto did its first offset purchase. And San Juan La Chao is a community in the middle of the mountains of Oaxaca on the western coast. And we participated, Palo Alto, along with a local NGO called ICICO, and then a California organization called the Climate Action Reserve, in a project whereby the community of San Juan La Chao could develop the forest area, then sell the tons of carbon sequestered in the forest with a protocol that was generated by the California Action Reserve. So the ICICO was the entity that received the money and then would disperse it into the community. And again, there in the lower left is part of the team looking across the sequestration area. But what was most remarkable was the outpouring of the community when we arrived to basically bring them that first check that they had earned by assembling this project. So you can see the community gathered, hundreds of people, and on the lower right, the young kids performing ostensibly a wedding dance, and so it was a large festival. Now the project, aside from just bringing in money, does a number of remarkable things. One is this one project has created approximately 35 to 40 jobs, some as doing the work of maintaining the forest, and then another category is sort of a junior environmental scientist. So it brings jobs out there. It brings a small amount of cash into the community, which, as we'll develop, basically helps secure the family there. And it opens up opportunities for secondary economies such as coffee and small forestry work for such making furniture. So this project inspired work by a Palo Alto artist named David Kamner, and he created a project called Ghost Trees, which were basically glass objects grown inside or blown inside tree trunks. But what we began discovering in this project is how the purchase of carbon from San Juan Lachao to the city of Palo Alto created this economic benefit that showed up in the community, and basically allowed families to stay, or the head of household to stay in San Juan Lachao instead of immigrating to make cash in the United States to send down. So, albeit this is a little dated, but we imagine ostensibly a green wall instead of the fortress wall, whereby this collaboration between California and Mexico around developing the forest in Oaxaca brings both rewards for Palo Alto on their climate goals, but equally economic and environmental development in San Juan Lachao. Of interest, where the work we're doing is in tropical rainforests, and I've been observing the work of the project Drawdown, and where they look at the opportunity areas for making reductions, project-based reductions that achieve climate goals. And what should be noted in the ranking is the role of tropical rainforests, the work we're doing in tropical rainforests. Not as great ultimately as wind power, managing food waste, but many other project areas, tropical rainforests, and the work of carbon capture is a very strong tool. And when I looked across Mexico, I actually saw how Mexico and these tropical rainforests are almost like a new inverted Saudi Arabia. There is so much drawdown potential in the tropical rainforest that also bring economic development that it could really help us achieve that lofty goal of almost being carbon negative. Where does this all fit into Palo Alto? This program is a effort of the city of Palo Alto and particularly their gas utility. So this is where these first deals occurred, where we are now a 100% carbon neutral gas portfolio. And yes, when you burn gas, you generate carbon dioxide, but we know the number of tons of carbon dioxide generated, and we purchased the offsets. And it was this offset purchase that became the basis of the relationship. And this program has developed from originally a voluntary program to now just being a component of the natural gas utility. And the work that we're doing in the Mexican forest is still a relatively small part of the portfolio, but I am hopeful over time that working with the city we can grow this component, because it brings, in addition to just the straight technical removal of carbon, it also brings the social and environmental benefits. We've done this work with ICICO, and you can see their name in Spanish, which forms the acronym. And ICICO is a remarkable organization. It's a nonprofit that's formed by indigenous, remote, as they call campesino communities, with the vast variety of indigenous peoples. The Zapotecs, Mixta, Mixe, all actually have quite often individual languages, and they're scattered across the mountains and valleys of Oaxaca. The project in San Juan La Chao was the first ever agreement between California and Mexico, and it was catalyzed by the work of Neighbors Abroad, basically connecting the dots between ICICO, Climate Action Reserve, and the city of Palo Alto. But that said, the city of Palo Alto was remarkable in their willingness to look and take on this project. Just to give a little bit of a sense of the scale of these are the size of these forests. So it covers a very large area, but you can see proportionally just how much opportunity there is in all of these lands that are ultimately available. The projects you're looking at are in the Sierra Norte. The work in San Juan La Chao was in the south. Where is this going? Why visit with Enschede, introduce it to Heidelberg, Linköping, Shanghai? And what we have a vision for is that while Palo Alto is making these first purchases from Oaxaca, we also invite our sister cities in Europe, China, and other sister cities to consider the role of drawing down as a complement to the other programs that they might be doing. And the carbon that's presented through these projects is generated consistent with protocols that often can be converted into the protocols that might exist within the European market or the Chinese market, Japan, or elsewhere. So this is the direction we're going now. And maybe, just closing on some thoughts. When I presented the concept of offsets, often offsets develop a negative perception because they're viewed as being in lieu of conversion. A city might say, oh, we're not going to electrify our natural gas. Instead, we're just going to purchase offsets, add a little tax, but not do the hard work of conversion. There's also been a concern, and you even see it in the portfolio, that some of the offsets are technical offsets. They're lower quality offsets relative to how rich the economic and environmental and social benefit is of the offset program we have in Oaxaca. So I'm inviting a new mindset. You might call it the drawdown framework. And the drawdown model fits because conversion is not fast enough. And so it's not an either transition or offset. It's let's go all in with both a drawdown model and conversion. So we need to go beyond conversion to get to the yield and get to the impact. So as I end this presentation, I just wanted to lift up and have you hold a perspective of where drawdown fits in the overall portfolio. So with that, it was a pleasure to give my remarks remotely. I look forward to developing this effort with you further. Take care.